you.
Yes. Hi, guys. Welcome back from lunch. I hope you got some rest, had some nice food, and that you are not too confused from what happened in the past 3 hours. Um, yeah, with no further ado, please welcome Paula. She's your first guest speaker. I will be here to moderate the chat and make sure that everything you write is being moving forward to Paula so she can answer you. Paula, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much. Good morning from Brazil. So I'm all over here in Brazil. Today is not sunny, it's not that pretty Brazil you may imagine, because I live in São Paulo, which is one of the busiest cities in Brazil. And thank you so much for inviting me to be here. It's so nice that I get to share what I've been thinking lately. So just to introduce you guys to me, what I do, I've been working for the past year for one of the biggest publicity groups here in Brazil. Actually, is the biggest independent group in Latin America, and I've been working with recruitment. And for that, I've been thinking a lot about how I got here and what's going on, and I'll be sharing some of my insights with you today, talking a little bit about my life. So I'm gonna share my screen, I guess, right here. Can you guys see this colorful thing with a title on it? Perfect.
Yes.
So what I intend to do is to talk a bit about what I have to say, and then later I guess we can open for questions and then talk more into things that you guys want to know more about it, or you have doubts on, things like that. Is it okay? I guess it is. Perfect. So the idea here is to connect a bunch of things that maybe people would not connect, and maybe people would not see a connection between those things, and point out what is repeating through history, through my story. What keeps repeating? What are the patterns, and what are the biggest challenges? So we can kind of predict or organize ourselves for the next phase or the next years that are about to come, and be more prepared or open-minded for the experiences we will still leave, I guess. So design possibilities, recycle experiences, and identify opportunities. So I'm Paula. I'm 27 years old, and I've been so passionately I've been thinking so much lately and trying to figure out how I got to where I am now. And I know it sounds a little philosophical, I guess, but it's just that I really like the idea of seeing what led to what and how things ended up the way they are. So I'm really fascinated about the what if, right? Thinking, oh, what if, what would happen if I did that thing differently? Or what would happen if I was not here today? So I really like picturing possible outcomes for things. So what I've been doing for the past year is actually looking backwards and looking to my story, to my life, and trying to figure out what happened, what was going on, and how I got here. So for starters, I was born in Novo Hamburgo. It's not a big city, but it's not a small city as well. It has somewhat 250,000 people living there. And it's the city in the south of Brazil. So one thing I guess you guys don't know is that Brazil is huge. And when I say huge, is that our states are the size of most countries in Europe. So it's really, really, really big. So we have a lot of people and we have a lot of different things happening here. So specifically about my state, is a state that was they had a lot of indigenous people living there, but at some point, um, a lot of German immigrants came there, and they started developing the industry and building railroads and getting all the steel industry going on. So my family is actually half black, sort of African American, and the other half is German descendant. So it's really that mix that makes Brazil so so weird sometimes and so complicated and intricate, because we have so many cultures that were input in our story, but at the same time we're Brazilian and we have a specific setting of living and having this huge space and land. So we cannot compare ourselves to any other place in the world, I feel. So I'm the result of this couple that was not obvious, and that's the start of my story. My family is not traditional, so of course I know you've heard about racism. It's not new, so yeah, it happened. And my mom was really criticized for dating a black guy, and at that time, that made her sort of stand out from the family. So she was not doing what she was supposed to do. And so was my father, because he lived in a black neighborhood with black people, and he sort of went out and found this sort of like middle class white woman, and they fell in love and they had me, and I was sort of the result of this complicated, intricate relationship. And as soon as I remember I was a child, and I remember realizing I was different. And I know it sounds funny, but I knew I was different. I knew that people looked at me differently. I don't know if it was because of my parents or because I would speak or act differently. I was a really feminine child, really creative. I loved talking to everybody. I was always jumping around, really cheerful. So I knew I was different. I knew some people would not receive me with open arms all the time. So people would be skeptical, or they would make that face like, what's going on? What is that child going through? So I knew that from early ages. And from that, and having a supportive system in my house, I kept like going through those experiences, maybe like in class where I would say something and people would laugh and I wouldn't understand why they were laughing. I just told them what I was thinking or something like that. But then I had this really supportive system at home that would cheer me for being who I was and telling me it's nice, it's okay, it's perfect. What you just said is amazing. There's nothing wrong with that. So I grew up trying to understand why some people would not treat me the same way my family or my close friends were. And then I realized that there was something going on inside my mind. It was that thing that was different. So I had this really strong and powerful imagination. So when a fly would fly inside the classroom, I would see that as a butterfly, not literally, but I would be interested in a fly as if it was a butterfly. And that's mainly what people didn't get, because I could see potential in things, and I could see way past of what things were. I could imagine what they could be. And that led me to being this really annoying student all my life, because we would have projects at school, I would say like elementary school. And the thing was, oh, you had to write 2 pages about something. I would write the 2 pages, maybe like 4. I would have this amazing cover that I would make myself, like with all this scrapbook materials, and I would bring a downsized version of thing that I was talking about, and I would maybe bring a movie that I watched. So I was really extra, right? Because I could see many ways, many different ways of expressing what I was thinking or what I was trying to say. I would not rely only on the paper or the words. I really wanted people to understand what I was saying. So I would be really extra. And that got me into trouble sometimes because I would have those absurd, like huge projects that I was not able to finish. And then I had to negotiate and talk to the professors, like, oh, I cannot finish it. And they would be like, yeah, you lazy ass, like you cannot finish. And then I'll say, no, I cannot finish because it's so big, like it's too much and I cannot finish it. And at some point they would realize I was actually saying the truth. But my classmates would be really jealous. And I remember I was really little and I loved playing with sort of like Play-Doh, like building things with this clay. And I will make a lot of things. I will go extra, right? I will build like sort of like The Sims, right? Like building an entire city. That's me in one class, like building things because I was so into it. And then and then everybody was supposed to put their projects away in a shelf for the parents to see. And then when my mom got to school, my project was all stepped on. It was all destroyed. And then I remember the teacher got to my mom and she was like, yeah, so we usually have this problem here. The other classmates, they feel sort of intimidated or they dislike Paula because of this and that. And then I got used to getting my parents called at school because other people would not like what I was doing. Now I understand, right? When you're different, people tend to get scared and they get sort of aggressive, I guess. So that happened a lot. So I always felt I was different. I was so special, right? My mom was building that confidence that moms do and grandmas. Oh, you're perfect. You're so talented. They were really hyping me up. And then I was like, yeah, so maybe Brazil is not the right place for me. Maybe I need to go somewhere else. And then I saved money my entire high school. I was saving money from work. I started working at 14, helping one of my cousins to load boxes and fit storage. So I was saving money. And then I decided, with the help of my mom, at 17, I was moving to Toronto. So I just finished high school and I was like, I'm going to Toronto. I'm going to Canada. I'll be there. I'll make my life better, right? That's the place I want to go. And because I was so good with communications and talking to people and expressing myself, so as I thought, I thought, wow, maybe journalism is the right place for me. But what happened is that I got to university there, and Canada in general, I don't know if there are Canadians here or people that have been living in Canada, but Canada is a really peaceful place. It's people do it right. People are so well educated and they're so polite. They usually would not go to a place that they are not sure if it's gonna work, or maybe, well, they don't take risks as much as that's what I feel as a culture, right? Canadians play safe. So during university, that was it. They had a way of teaching, and they had the things that they wanted people to learn, and that was it. So I was the worst student. I would not get the test right. I would not get any like A grades. That was really frustrating for me because I came from being so extra and being the best student and president of class and things like that. So I was there and I was really frustrated, right? And I remember we had this project and the professor would give us a random subject. So I remember my subject was bike lanes. And I would not even bike, like I would not even ride a bike. And I had to create this whole presentation about bike lanes. So yeah, I was like, okay, that's a challenge. I have to be creative. So let's go. And then it was a group presentation and we did it. And I remember I did this sort of artsy things with informations. So I would collect all informations about bikes around Toronto. So how many bikes there are in the city, how many kilometers are there for the bike lanes, things like that. And then I would bring all this information and create this visually pleasing image, right, with all the data. And also I edit some news because at that time there was this huge problem with the mayor. He was against bike lanes, and at that time, 2011, Toronto was really known for its hipster population. So everybody was buying organic, riding bikes, buying secondhand clothing. So it was a really huge fight because this guy was really into like progress and cars and industry, and the majority of the population was looking through a sort of this sustainable place of living. And then I got some of the news together, and then we presented the thing. So it was my first and only A plus during my entire year at journalism university. And at the end of the presentation, the professor was like, okay, you got an A plus. It was awesome. But I really want to know who did the artsy thing, the image, and who did the video. And I was like, why you're asking about the two things that I did, right? And I was like, that was me. And he was like, that was awesome. That's something I've never seen. That's something I never thought could fit into this presentation. And that really got me thinking, maybe that's not the right place for me, right? If I cannot write and get good grades and I can make like art or create images or video and tell a story and I can get an A, maybe here is not the place for me. That's when I came back to Brazil looking for a place where I could exercise my creativity. And that's when I got into fashion college. So in my city, there was this really strong and well-known fashion course, and I could take part in it and started realizing I was actually really good at it. So the thing about my city that it's really specific is that it's known for the title of being the national capital of shoes, because most of the shoe industry is located there. So it was in the past. Now some of them remain, but there's this whole history about shoes. So the sign of the city it's a shoe, and the buses they have shoes all printed on the side. You know, it's all like themed, like shoe themed. That's my city. And one thing that happened a lot is that the shoe industry creates a lot of waste. So there was this whole new marketplace, this whole new business um, space for people to sell scraps, to sell waste from the shoe industry. And they would have this huge stores that you would not think that's waste, but that's the actual waste, the things that the shoe industry would not use anymore. And the great thing is that it was really affordable. So during fashion college, I go to places and really dedicate myself to go through all the piles of fabric and materials and look for the things that I liked. And that really got me into this place of, okay, I have to make something out of it. And this is really affordable, so I can actually buy it. But I have to do the double, because those materials were not made for clothing. They are made for shoes. So sometimes they are hard or they are not stretchy. So I was like, okay, I gotta really make something out of it. And that's how it started. And from that, I really tried to build something, try to make something. My two grandmas, one of them she's a seamstress, so she would make gowns and clothing for those really rich women. And my other grandma, she's really involved with carnival. I guess some of you guys know what's carnival and how huge it's here in Brazil. So I had all this background of my grandma's telling me how to make things and showing me how to sew and things like that. So I really got into making those those fabrics and those materials become something. This is one of my grandmas. We lived until I was like 17. I was living with her, and that machine right there is the machine where I learned how to sew. And when I got to use the materials I wanted, they were not sew at all. They were plastic. They were made of plastic, so they would almost break the machine. But I was there. I was trying, and she was teaching me. But at the same time, she was looking at me like, "What are you doing? Like, this is not supposed to happen. You should not be sewing those things here. You're gonna break the machine." But also, she was really supportive. And at that time, I started looking for my own voice, right? Like, what am I doing? What am I creating? Why am I creating those things? What I'm trying to say with those things. And I realized that fashion was this really powerful tool for me to not only create and express my creativity, but to find my identity. So I don't know if you guys know any trans people, but usually trans people know there's something going on from early ages, but because we don't have maybe other people to look at or other people to be inspired by, we try to find other ways to express ourselves. So fashion was that thing for me. I would use my body as a canvas. I would create clothing, and then I would try on myself. And that was amazing because I could transform my body into things that my body was not by itself. Once I started creating more complex things or things that would look more like clothing or accessories, other people would feel interested in. So they would ask me, "What's going on? What is that? How can I get one of those? How can I get to wear one of those?" And then I started exchanging ideas and getting that voice that I was looking for heard by other people. And because of nightlife, I was 19 by then, and because of nightlife and getting to know all those other weird people, we sort of got along, and we were hearing each other's voices and helping one another to not only express ourselves but sort of like try to be something else, like experiment with our bodies or with ourselves, one with each other. And that's how my brand started. By then I had like 20, 30 people asking me to make clothes for them. And then I started making those clothes, right? Money and creativity, that's perfect. So I was there, I was sewing until late night. I was in college, I was working, and then I was also working, creating clothing and accessories for people. And by then, my brand, I had an Instagram at that time, and people would feel totally comfortable buying from this brand that they had no idea who was behind and where it was from. But they were really into trying things, and they were really into experimenting with themselves and with those products that they thought it was so different and so cool. Because of this expansion of the brand, and because a lot of people started getting to know the brand, Novo Hamburgo, my city, was not the best place to be anymore. It was really far from everything, and it was really small. So what I did was I would produce a lot of things. So I would make a lot of clothes and things. I would pack them all up, save some money, and go to São Paulo. And then I would stay in São Paulo for a week, and then 2 weeks, sometimes a month. And I would participate in those fairs and try to meet a lot of people and sell my stuff. And that kept going for 3 years almost. And I met so many people by then. And I had so many people wearing my brand that at some point I felt that going back to my hometown was really painful, because I knew in São Paulo people would pay way more attention to me and to my creations, and going back to my mom's house was not an option anymore. And then I decided to move to São Paulo. But that's when everything changed, because although I knew São Paulo was different, I did not know it was that different. And that's when I say I had to start from scratch, or I thought so. I had to start from scratch. I was a blank page here in São Paulo. Okay, I had some experience in my city. I knew how to sew and things like that. But here in São Paulo, the game is completely different, right? People expect way more from you. Here, people work twice as much, and the projects here are global, and everything is way bigger. So I felt I had nothing to offer, and that was the point where I had to reinvent myself. That was the point where I had to make it happen, right? I had to pay rent. I was not living with my mom anymore, and I could not sew anymore because I had no space to have a working space like I had in my old house. And maybe even if I had it, I would not be able to make as much money as I needed, because it was completely different to have everything under control in my mom's house, not paying rent, not paying for my food. And then now I'm not only paying for those things, but I need the money. Otherwise, I will not be able to eat, or I will not be able to live somewhere. So things changed, and I had to create this whole new lifestyle and this whole new mentality of what I wanted, who I was, what I was capable of doing, and things like that. So one thing that really helped me was to get to know a lot of people that were doing those things, or they were doing it for a while, and I would learn with them the essence of what should be done. So when I met, one of the people that I met was Moa. She's one of my friends, my great friends. She's a creative director, and by that time, she was doing this really specific work of getting the experience she had with publicity and big brands in Brazil, and connecting them to real people. So she would connect them with people that lived far away from the center. She would connect them with Black people that would not have money at all to come to the events or to the center of the city, to parties and things like that. So people who were really talented, but somehow they were not accessible, right? They were not easy to find. And that really inspired me to know that there was this whole possibility of working with brands, and there was money laying around this in the city, looking for people to make something out of it. And that's when I started working with her as a fashion producer, because I realized, okay, so I've been making clothes for my entire life. I know how to organize things. I know how to go after things. So I was really into research and looking for brands. So fashion production is not more than just going after clothes and making sure that they fit the people that they have to fit. So it was really nice. I worked with Uber, I worked with Nike. So I had the pleasure of working with those really big brands, and trying to showcase my talent, and sort of adapting my abilities to what those brands were needing. The other thing that I learned, and one of the most important things that I've learned here in Sao Paulo, was with my friend Marcelo. He is the one in the picture, and he's that person that is right there in the middle of that line that's like, he's crazy and he's really talented, right? That person that you sometimes you think they are really out of their mind and they're saying and doing really stupid things, but at the end you see it all made sense. It was all so creative and so amazing. He taught me so much about being resourceful. He comes from a really poor neighborhood in Rio, which is one of the most dangerous places in Brazil. And he would have nothing or maybe nothing, and he would make something out of it. And he was that person that would also look at things and not see what they were, but see the potential on those things. So see what those things could become. He had his camera, and then he became a photographer because he was so into it, and he was taking pictures all the time. And he would take a picture in the rain wearing a swimsuit just because he wanted to. And because of that, he got really well known here in Brazil, and he started working with those rappers and singers because they all were so attracted by this guy that was so weird and taking those really cool pictures, right? So we lived together for 2 years. And during that time, we would wake up and meet in the living room, and we would look at each other and be like, you want to do something? Yeah, let's do something. And then we would take whatever we saw or whatever was inspiring us on that day, and we would make a photo shoot, or we would build a new table for the house, or we would go in the streets and take a picture with our cell phones, things like that. So we were really creative, and it was really nice to be around him and get to use what I already had. So all those things that were in my mind and putting them into another context. So this creative context, this big city that I live now, where people don't really care about me, so I can walk in the streets and people will not be looking at me. They're busy with their lives, so we would do whatever we wanted. The city was ours, right? But at the same time, I was really struggling with money because I was working with fashion production, but it was not a job, right? It was not something that would give me money every month. So I had to have some sort of stability or some sort of income that would make me feel less stressed and less anxious every month about paying my rent. And that was when I had to really look back and take a piece of paper and, okay, what am I capable of? What do I know how to do it? What can I um, trade with people for money? And at that time, I knew how to speak English, right? And I knew I was good with people and things like that. And I was like, maybe I can be an English teacher. Maybe I can not only teach English, but make it all new. So I would say I'm not this regular teacher because I cannot bring a book and teach you English because that was not the way that I learned. And then I was like, okay, so I'm gonna do it my way. And my way would be what makes people want to be my students. And then I created this artwork, and then I was telling people, okay, now I'm sort of like this teacher. I would not feel comfortable with the word teacher, but I'm this facilitator. I'm this person that will help you improve your English, help you speak more English, help you express what you want to, what you're trying to say in English. And that worked really, really well. So for 4 months or 5 months, I survived on helping people and speaking English to people just because I I was not because I was a nice person, but because I would not create this whole environment of a classroom or a teacher that was judging, not only judging, but expecting something from the students. So I was just casually talking to people and talking about the things that they wanted, talking about the things that they were interested in, and I knew about it. So we were casually talk about it, and people would learn English without realizing they were learning English. So that was something that made me really different and got me a lot of students at that time. Something else that happened here in Sao Paulo that was really important to me was to get to know the ballroom scene. I don't know if you guys know about it. Like lately, there are series and movies about it, so it gets to bring this history and culture to more people. There's a really big series from Ryan Murphy, which is called Pose, and the ballroom community basically started in the 80s, and it was this place where Black trans people and Latin people were really trying to find a safe space, but not only a safe space, but to create this whole community and this whole idea that they were worth it, that they were amazing, and that they could be something else other than what society was telling them they were. Because society was back then, as it is right now, killing those people, treating those people as not human, like they were not human beings or as second-class citizens. So the ballroom community started organizing those balls, and balls were celebrations of life, celebrations of those lives, and they would have and started evolving into categories. So people would have like beauty categories or dancing categories, and they would compete for not only prizes but their reputation, right? Because there at the ballroom community, you could be someone, you could be the one, you could be the best, something that in normal society you would never be. It didn't matter if you were really good at it. People would never allow a Black person or a Black trans person to be good at something or to even have a job. So ballroom was all about that. So ballroom exists until now, and here in Brazil, the scene has over 6 years. And when I got here, I met all those people. They were all artists, but also they were working with something else during the day to pay the bills. And they would meet in those places, those reunions and those balls, and they would be completely different people, not visually, but as in essence, right? They would be themselves. They would express themselves. They would bring their best, because there they knew people would validate that people would look at them as they really were. That was really special for me, because that was the place where I saw a lot of trans people, and I saw a lot of trans people not on the streets, not working on the streets, but being themselves, laughing, telling about their stories, having their loves, having affection. And that's when I felt comfortable to start my transition. That was like 2 years ago. Because I knew I had this thing in me, and I knew I was different, and I knew my hometown was not the place for me to explore that. It was not big enough for that. And here in Sao Paulo, I finally felt comfortable in doing that. And I was finally not afraid of what other people thought of me, because I knew there were a lot of people that would see me at who as I truly was, right? Those people would be interested in what I was doing, what my work is, and how talented I am, and not that I was not born a woman, things like that. So it's really nice. Here is actually my friend. She's a dancer, and she's wearing one of my dresses, and I organized this ball, and it was really nice. A lot of people came, and it was a really, really nice night. So after that, I had the pleasure of working with Tom Klinkenstein. He's a New York university professor. So I guess he works for like 5 or 6 different universities. He's really into design and fine arts, and he's the president and creative director of Media A, which is one of the biggest design places that gives consultancy to many, many brands all around the world. And he also has this really interesting work and that is showcased in many museums all around the world, that he takes, the idea is that he thinks design not only as something, not just aesthetic, right? Not just products or visuals, but design as a way of thinking, design as a way of making something, creating something. So he would design futures. And that's really weird, but he would create an idea. And from that idea, he would describe all of the possible outcomes and sort of trace a line, trace a path of all the things that would happen and would lead one to another, and create those amazing artworks where all the lines would connect facts and possibilities of a future. And then some really weird things would happen. And when you took time to read and look at this piece, it would make sense, because you would see, oh, that came from that, and that came from that, and that came from that. So he has this, he has many artworks, but this one in the picture is one, it's a mural. So it's really big, like really, really big, the size of a whole wall. And then it would take like 3 to 4 hours to read like one path. So if you would follow one line, it would take like hours to get to the end. And there were like many. So it was really nice that I got to work with him, because he was coming to Brazil, and he was having this lecture, sort of this workshop about enduring future, which is one of his researches, because he says that sustainability has created this false idea that being sustainable is to have ideas and have propositions of how to fix problems that we have from resulting from other ideas that other people had in the past. So he says that this is really, it's a false idea, because it will never end. And what he tries to make is to get people to use design methodology to fix, not only fix problems, but to create things and to create ideas and concepts that do not need fixing, that do not need new ideas later to fix all the issues that they bring with them. It's not that they're flawless, but they create paths where you would not kill people, or you would not create mental health issues like social media did, things like that. So he's like, oh, we have to really pay attention and spend time thinking about things way before, because if we focus on just fixing what's going on now, we will get nowhere, and everything will be done in not a long time. So this whole idea was really nice. And what I did actually was to help him with the workshop. So I was working as a translator, but since we got to talk before the workshop, he was really interested in how I got to where I was, and how me, being the person that I am, was at that time the person that other people told him was the better choice to help him. So he got really interested in my story, and we got to work there, and he felt comfortable asking me not only to translate what he was saying, but to help him apply the workshop and the tasks and all the methodology. So it was really nice for me that this guy that's really important and really smart, he trusted me with his work, with his life work.
Lite vad?
Okay, so, and by that time, I was not the person that I am right now. I was really, really insecure, but fake it till you make it. You know that saying, that was me. I was there. I was pretending everything was fine, and I knew how to do it. And at the end, it all worked fine. And he was really nice to me, and it was a really nice experience. And that led me to the place that I was helping him with the workshop. So he was working to Flag, which is the group that I work at now, was this big publicity group. They invited him to have this workshop on their office. And once they saw what I did and they saw how good, quote, good I was at doing what I was doing, they fell in love with me. So that's it, basically. And they called me, and that's when I met one of my great friends. And she called me and she was like, you know what? I have this project, and then I'm trying to build the future of work. And that sounded really pretentious to me, right? But she had really good intentions, and she had this huge work and this background work. And she was like, we have a problem, right? Here in Brazil, we have 55% of our population are like Black people, or they identify as Black people. And we do not see Black people working in those big companies. And we do not see poor people working at great places because they don't have access to education and things like that. So she was thinking about all those things, and she was like, how can I change that? But not I know I cannot change it into like changing the whole country and I don't know 100 years of history. But she was like, how can I change that from my perspective or from where I am? And then we started this work, and I work at this place called The Grid. And our idea is to help companies to see potential in people. So one thing that we realized, that experience, and not experience as if for how long you've been doing something, but experience as in all the things that you've been through. Those are the things that make you special. Those are the things that make you the great professional you are, or the great fit for the position we have. So we started this whole process of thinking and rethinking the way we would interview people and the way we would access people and look for people for job opportunities at this big publicity group, and how we would tell those people's stories. And this is what I've been doing for a year now. So we try to help people to get to this place of realizing that they are way more capable of doing things than they think they are. Because the idea here is that, okay, I've never been a teacher, right? When I was teaching English, I've never been a teacher. So I was not a teacher, but I could deliver English to people. I could help people somehow learn English. That's what we do. We try to make things not as black and white. We try to expand the idea of skills. We expand the idea of knowing something. Knowing something is not when you acquire that knowledge from college or university. You can learn things everywhere from whatever experience that you have. So if you come from a big family, and I mean big family, here in Brazil, we have families that have like 20 siblings. If you're the younger sibling, you know how to manage teams, right? You are a team manager. You are a leader. You're a natural leader because you have like 20 siblings. You have like 19 other little people depending on you. Well, you know how to manage a big team. And that's what we do. We try to incorporate people's experience and create this narrative, this idea of giving them the confidence to say, I know how to do that, or I am capable of doing that. And also helping companies realizing that they don't need a piece of paper to show that they are able to do that. They have years of experience doing that same thing, but in a different context or with a different name, or a sort of a different perspective. So that's what we've been doing so far, and that's how I got here, right? Because I did not work with people. I have a fashion degree, right? How can I work with recruitment for a publicity role? But somehow I'm really good at it, and I still do it, and they like what I do. So that got me thinking, right? How did I got here? And that was a really deep process of realizing that I am those things. So I was helping people I was helping those people going through those processes of realizing they were able to do many things, and that they were really plural. You are way more than just what you do for a living, right? You are the things that you like. You are the things that you don't like. You are the things that you're interested in. You are the things that you have no idea about. You are the things that you studied for. You are the things that you worked with before. But you also so many other things that are related to those things, and so on. So I had to go myself through the process of realizing what I was. And that was a big moment for me, to realize I was this trans woman, this mixed race trans woman living in Sao Paulo with not much professional background, but with a lot of experience. And that was really valuable, because my story and my perspective and the way I see things, only I can see, or only I can bring to the table. And that's what makes people special, and that what makes people really valuable for companies nowadays. And so you all guys are, right? You're all really interesting. And I know you all have life experiences that I would never even imagine of having. And those things make you really strong and really capable of doing a lot of things. Although my story is really nice and everything worked well, I have to realize I'm an exception, right? So Brazil is the country that kills more people in the entire world, more transgender people in the entire world. I get to see every single day news from transgender people being murdered. And that's really, really heavy on me and on everybody. So life expectancy for a transgender person in Brazil is 35 years old. I'm 27, so, you know, it gets me to think a lot. 90% of the transgender people in Brazil are forced to work with prostitution, because working with sex is the only option for those people here to get any money. And when I mean any money, is that even the government will deny the things that those people are entitled to have, because they are Brazilian citizens, just because they will not have the proper documents, or they will not have the same name on all the documents, things like that. So that will get in the way of people getting, you know, like basic stuff like healthcare or money to eat. And 0.02% of transgender people actually get to experience an university or college. And that's really huge on me, because I actually did 2 colleges. I didn't finish journalism, but I had this amazing opportunity. So I have to realize I am an exception. I don't know how many transgender people you guys know, but I know, I assume is not a lot. And that's a reality, right? And that's unfortunate. How many transgender people told you something you did not know, or were in this position of teaching, right? Or lecturing. So I have to realize that I'm an exception, and I have to realize that this is a huge responsibility of having all this access and being able to do something about it. I know my voice is not the voice that most people want to hear, but I know I can get a lot of people to hear what I'm saying because of where I am today. And that responsibility is something that I take very seriously. And it's something that guides, that is the forefront of my work nowadays. I cannot, those are the things that I do not negotiate, right? I cannot, those are values that are always with me, and I will never step back from them. Because I'm not doing just for myself. I don't want to have my own happy ending story, but I want to change something, and I want to make a difference in the world. So from all of that and all this experience and all this year that I've been looking backwards and looking to my story, I identified sort of 3 pillars that always repeat themselves, 3 challenges, 3 names, 3 ideas, 3 concepts that would always come and would always determine what was going on in my life. And the first one was design. So design for me here is that I realized I would always have a challenge. I would always have a creative challenge in my life. Whether it was being in a place doing something that I did not like, and then with creativity, I would turn that thing into something that it was interesting to me, or something that I wanted to create to express myself, or something that I needed to make it work because it was not working normally. So design here, what I tried to create inside this concept of design is what you're doing, what you're creating. It always has a purpose, and it has an end. It has a start and an end. And at the end, you usually have something, a product, and not just a physical product, like a product that you can buy or eat or use, but something that you can look and has a shape. It has it's an entire idea, right? The second pillar, or the second challenge, is always sustainability. And I know sustainability is usually related to, nature and being vegan, I guess. That would be the main idea of sustainability, because it's the only idea that has the start and an end, and it gets people to a cycle of being sustainable, which I really appreciate. But here I try to expand the word and bring the idea that sustainability is way more than that, and not only nature as in nature of plants and animals, but nature as our nature, or the nature of things. And that would be the things that you're using to make it happen. So from the idea that Tom shared with me, you would use things that are sustainable to make something sustainable. It makes no sense to use processes that are not sustainable and try to make something sustainable, right? And I guess it makes sense. So it's the idea of reusing, giving new life to what you already have. So giving new purposes, new meanings, and new contexts. So I knew how to speak English, and I was really good with people, but those things together, those abilities, I did not have to start from scratch. I did not have to learn something new that I've never done it before, but I had to create a new context and combine 2 abilities to create something else. And here also is really nice that you realize that you have a lot of things. And that's something I learned with my friend that was really poor. And at first you would think he had nothing, but he had a lot of things because he had experience, and he had his creativity and his vision, and he would turn other things into things that were not related to him into things that made total sense with his work. So I really learned from him that was also being sustainable, using what you already have. And the third one is identity. So the idea of something being something. So who's making that thing? Who's behind the work? and what's that person's history, like what has happened during all those years, and what is their story, what is their telling you, what is their passion, what is making them do what they're doing, and what is their experience, right? What is the combination of all the things that have happened to them, they've done, they're gone through. So I believe people are the glue that stick everything together. So people will be the thing that glues what you already have or things that are available to the idea and the thing that you're trying to create, right? The design. So here I tried maybe to analyze the phases, sort of the main phases of my life. So in the beginning, the idea, the process of designing was to create tools, and that tool was specifically fashion, for me to express my imagination. So I would have arts, I would have school projects, I would have all those things, those creative challenges to express my imagination, express what I was feeling, express what I was thinking. Sustainability would come as using what was affordable and accessible to me at that time. Because I had no money, no spare money, I would buy the cheapest material to make what I was doing. And that will be the main reason why people wanted to buy what I was doing, because it did not look like anything else, or it did not feel like anything else, because the clothes were not made from regular fabric. The touching and the trying and fitting will be a whole experience, right? So people would actually buy that experience, the idea of trying something new. And identity would be identifying or finding my voice and hearing other people's voices. Because what happened was that I thought I was alone for a long time, but then I realized that there were other people that were not feeling that they fit. They were fitting in this society or expectations, and they were also trying to get their voices heard. And we all connected and made something else out of it. The second part, so when I was a young adult, I guess, this little young lady, design was really about creating this new life for me. So I was in this big city, Sao Paulo, and all my goals and all my idea of life was based on what I had in my small town, and maybe what I watch on Friends, living in this huge apartment with all my friends and things like that, which was not a reality, because the rent for a space like the apartment in Friends here in Sao Paulo is something that no young adult can afford. So I had to adapt my ideas of being an adult and being cool and being happy to different standards. And I also had to realize that I had new demands. So I had to get really serious about what I was doing. I could not fail. I could not skip a month, right? I had to make money every single month. So I had to realize that responsibility that I had with myself now. Sustainability came really strong with realizing all the abilities I had and all the skills I had already, and make myself aware of those things. Not just that I was interested in fashion. No, I know about fashion. I have experience with that, and transform all those things into professional assets that I had, right? Because that was the only way I could get up to a company or to a job and say, oh, I am the right person to do that, and I am. This is not a favor you're doing to me. Like giving me money for my work is not a favor you're doing to me. It's not because you're nice, but because I'm worth that money. I know how to do those things. So I had to really go through that process. And identity would be really strong for me at that time to be who I truly am. Realizing I had to go through a process of changing some things, like adapting some things, not only in my body, but in my mind, and realizing we are all a process. And at that time, I had to go through take some specific actions to correct my path, to make it all work, right? I guess it makes sense. And nowadays, I see myself designing this idea of the future of work with my company. So creating this human-centered interviews and processes for jobs and those positions inside companies, helping those companies realize that the people are valuable not because of what they studied and how many years they worked at a specific place, but because they are alive and they go through a lot of things and they come from different places. And you have to have a plural group of people inside your company to make your company, not a good company, but to create things or to offer services that are relevant, right? Because if you're creating something that only connects to a small part of the population, you're not being relevant. You're not creating anything. Your days are counted. You're doing something that will someday be overcome or replaced by something better, right? But if you have different people creating and inputting ideas from the beginning, you will always have a product or a service that makes sense to a huge part of the population, because that population is represented inside the creative team. So sustainability it's coming nowadays as to develop and mainly create environments and places where people feel comfortable. I'm still part of the ballroom scene, so I have sisters and brothers over there who have never worked as I have been for the past like 15 years. And so my main goal is to create opportunities for those people, not based in pity, right? Like petty, actually. Not only based on people trying to be nice, but because they are worth money, because their experiences are valuable, because their experiences are interesting and necessary for companies and so many other businesses all around the world. So I take people that already exist and they're so ready to be inserted in society and in business. And I try to be the bridge that will connect them and help them realize that they are worth it, and help companies realize that that's what's missing, right? That's the people that they need. And identity nowadays is just, I guess, a challenge, and the biggest challenge ever is that I have to be the best version of myself all the time. I'm a huge perfectionist. I love not being comfortable. I'm always looking for something else, a new project, a new challenge. And that's something that would always be guiding my choices and my life in general. So just connecting all the things together and connecting to the name of the lecture today. So the idea is to design possibilities, to design new places for people to live or to exist or to work. Sustainability as in recycling experiences, recycle stories, history, and everything that has already happened and already exists, and identifying opportunities, realizing that you are really valuable, you have a lot of things to offer, you are so much more than what you think and what people tell you, and you just have to find the right opportunities to show that and to shine, right? To show your talent. And I guess that's it. That's basically what I've been thinking and trying. I hope it made sense. I really worry that sometimes I will keep talking about something and then at the end people did not understand at all what I was trying to say. But I guess I did. I tried. And I don't know, I'm open to maybe talk to you guys now about that. I don't know how much time we have left. Well, it's with you, Shane.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much, Paula, first of all. There
You're
is
welcome.
still 15 minutes until the next thing. Yeah, guys, what do you want to jump in? Like, just jump in and if you have anything to ask. I would just say that I couldn't stop listening. It was incredible, and so inspiring. And thank you so much for your vulnerability and for your honesty and for really like making your story become an inspirational journey to other people.
Thank you guys. It was so nice. Like I've never done this before. And not like this, just so many people, right? And it's I guess just me being here, I feel I'm making history. Like I've never seen another like transgender person have their story heard about so many people. And I feel really, I don't know, humble that you guys actually listen to it and think it's interesting. So yeah, thank you so much.
See, can I say something?
Please.
All right, fantastic. I just want to start by saying thank you so much. Super duper inspiring. And like I can't relate to all of your things, but being raised as a mixed, it's like I hear you in so many ways. And listening to you makes one feel as you're not like as much of an outsider as your mental makes you feel, you know. So just want to say thank you. And it was great.
Thank you for the kind words. Wow, so many comments. Wow, I'm shy. And I guess you have a place for all the links and extra material. So I could not finish it, but I will make a list of all the people that I talked about here, all the people that inspired me, because I only got one picture or one image, right? But those people have way more work, and I find it really interesting work. And maybe you guys will be interested in looking at it. So I will finish this list and get it uploaded so you can access it.
And just have a tiny question. Also, great job, like really great. I was so inspired. And just like, have you seen any changes when you started working this way of like experience in different fields than education? Or do you
I'm
feel that
so
like,
sorry. I guess my headphones are not working really well. It's really, really, I guess the volume for me.
now?
Yeah. I'll try. Okay.
Okay,
Paying attention.
I can write the question if somebody else wants to.
Oh, okay. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. I'm so sorry. I guess internet connection gets things a little bit. Oh, thank you guys. Thank you for saying I'm an inspiration. I have a lot of inspirations. It's really nice that I can be one for someone.
I just want to say again, like, thank you so much. I mean, you're only 27 and the lives that you've lived, I mean, you've done so many things in your life and you've always found a way to make it your own and really like find your own potential. And I know you say fake it till you make it, but it all also feels very genuine, everything that you've gone through. And it just really, yeah, I wrote in the comment, like, my heart is so full. Like, I just feel like I have this little like fire inside of like, yeah, just like I trust myself. I wrote all these like little notes of little affirmations that you had shared, like, I am plural, I'm so many other things than the limited beliefs of myself. And I don't know, I really loved your viewpoint and how honest you were. So thank you so much, Paula.
Thank you so much. That's so nice. Yeah, I guess there's this balance of not believing in yourself, but at some point you have to believe in yourself, because that's it. That's the only option, right? And that's when you have to make it happen. So that's really nice. I hope you all get to look at yourselves and realize that you are really amazing. And I'm not being like a coach, like it's not like to get you to smile. It's just you guys to realize that your whole experience as individuals would always make you a singular person. There's no one in the world, in the universe, that is exactly like you. So you are different because of who you are, and that's it. So there was the question. Have you seen any change since you started working this way, like when you're recruiting and all? Do you see any changes yet? You mean with different people and different backgrounds, I guess. So my company is well known here in Brazil for doing this specific work with different people. I mean, we don't call it diversity, we call it proportionality, because we believe diversity is an idea. So being diverse, I can totally say this classroom is diverse because it has different people. But proportionality works with data and numbers. And when we're talking about Brazil, we have to study what's the reality of Brazil and what should be reflected and what should be happening inside companies, right? Not an idea of diversity, but the actual setting of having different people working in different positions and things like that. And I have seen a lot of change because I guess nowadays most companies do not want to be criticized about not having gay people or transgender people or even Black people, because we know there's still a lot of way we can improve that. So a lot of companies do not want to be seen as the evil guys, right? But sometimes what happens is that they try to make it just for the picture, just to have that amazing, beautiful picture of the company staff. And that is really bad because it does not create a safe space for those people. Because if there's one Black person inside a 1,000 staff company, that person would feel alone. Will feel alone and will feel that they don't have a voice and they would ever be heard, because they are still in this place of just being a token, right? Just being that one Black person to make the company a good company. So that happens a lot still. And we work really hard with our companies to not only create those diverse places, but to create comfortable and inclusive places where those people would not only be present, but they will be present and heard and would feel that they are part of it and they are in charge of their actions. They're in charge of what's happening to them, and not only just not like something you can have just to look nice. I guess that's mainly it. So, and it's really interesting that I work in the position of recruiting. So sometimes some funny things happen is that I really don't want to offend anyone, but there's something with white straight guys, their confidence is so weird. It's weird, but sometimes they would get into like this a video call, and I would be the one interviewing them. Like I would be the one between them and their dream job, right, at this really big company that will pay them a lot of money. And they get really confused and they get really frustrated because how can someone that is like this be the person that is in charge of seeing if I'm the right person for that position? Because in his mind, he is the right person, right? And that's what society in general will tell him, that he is the right person no matter what. But I'm the person that will tell him that, and I'm the person that will judge that. So they get really confused, and they have so many different reactions. I have some people that get frustrated and like really frustrated, and they almost give up. They don't want to do the interview anymore. I have some people that get sort of like angry at me for some reason, that they feel that they should not be in the position of proving me anything, right? They feel that they should not tell me anything or try to impress me, I guess. But that's a natural filter. We call it a natural filter of knowing which people are ready to be working in the position of creating the future, right? Because in the future, we cannot stand and we cannot allow minds like this to work for us, or we cannot allow that people with this mindset take the decisions, right? It's not okay anymore. I'm really sorry if you still think like that, but it's not okay. Like we have to make it all different, right? As Tom, the guy that I was talking about, we cannot live in a world that we keep on trying to fix problems that are results of the bad choices someone took in the past. We have to create new paths, and we have to create new things that do not need fixing, do not need people masking it off or trying to make it look like it's not a problem. Because it is a problem. We know it's a problem, and we're not going back to pretending it's not. So that's it. Wow, I sound so like, but it's not. It's just the reality. And most of the time, I have to be really strong about what I think, because people will doubt of my story. People will think I'm not able of doing what I'm doing. People will always second guess me because I don't look like the people that they admire or they're inspired by. So that's something I guess I'm trying to change, and I hope like in the future this will be normal, right? This will be regular, not normal, but regular. It will happen more often. I guess that's it. Thank you. Oh guys, I love the clapping, the silent clapping. And I have my email. If you guys want to talk about anything or have any doubts, like further more, if something pops on your mind, please feel comfortable to email me, and we can share something.
Yes, guys, you have Paula's email and also social accounts in the workbook, so you can just find it there. Yeah, how are you feeling?
Me?
Paula? Yeah.
I'm amazed. I had no idea it would be so nice. And I look at people here and people, you guys look so cool. That's so nice. I'm really glad, and I don't know, I'm just amazed by it all. The idea, as I said before, like the idea of people listening to me and people paying attention to what I'm saying, that's really nice. Like it's something that I've never done it in this size, like for so many people. And it's really nice. I feel like I'm doing something right. I feel maybe all those years I've been doing something that's nice. That's okay. So now I can talk about it. Yeah, that's me. Oh, my Instagram is like, I'm always so like living off of appearances, right? Only cute pictures, looking good. But yeah, but actually my work is a lot more of paperwork and interviewing people and doing a lot of those things. But I guess you guys know about it. Like, social media is not a true representation of our everything we do. It's just a part of it. Oh yeah, I have LinkedIn. It's the same name. Paula, Saul. There. Sorry.
I'm so sorry that I need to mind the time, but there is a drug workshop waiting around the corner. If you want, you're most welcome to stay and join it.
Yeah, I actually have a meeting, right? Because duty calls.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Paula, really.
Thank you, guys. And well, thank you for having me. Thank you for listening to me. And I hope we are all together creating this new future where we are all living a better life, not just for ourselves, but for other people who are not here now. But hopefully someday they will be inside classrooms and they will be learning, and they will be the ones taking actions and decisions. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Have a nice day. Have a nice class.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Guys, I'm sorry that I'm keeping saying guys. It's not right. People or humans, please take 5 minutes of break and then come back here for the next session. Whoever got like whatever ceviche de Chuchu asks, so just bring it with you, and I'm sure she will just make sure to guide you through the process. So please leave this room and then re-enter in 5 minutes. Thank you.